Hi guys, welcome back to the concluding part of pivot tables. And in the last video, we stopped at those points where we created all of those pivot tables. And just for a quick recap, creating pivot tables should be tailored to the questions you want to answer. You already understand what this field does. When you put something in rows, it appears in rows. We drop the field, the country field in rows, and you can see it appears in rows just like this, right? If you drop it in column, it's going to spread across the column. Numerical value should be dropped in our values. The only time we drop a text value or a qualitative data, for example, this is customer ID, right, or customer name. The only time we drop that, for example, if I drop that in here, I get a number, right? I get a count. But because this place has been formatted, that's why we're not seeing that. So let me show you quickly what I mean. Put this here, right? I'll take this out, customer name, drop it in here. Sadly, it's just giving us the dollar. Is there anyone with actual numbers? I'll just clear the format on this. Okay, clear format. All right, so you can see we put names in values because we want a count. So the only time you want to do such thing as putting name in values is when you want to count. So it could be, for example, if I want to count the number of transactions, I could use the transaction date. If I want to count the number of sales made, I can do that using the customer names, because it seems one customer is tied to a transaction. We don't have a customer who bought twice. So even if we do, this is Excel, except we're using data models, we will not get a count distinct, so that still works. But the idea is simple. Rows, qualitative data goes into rows or columns, as well as filters. Numerical value or quantitative field or data goes into values. Again, qualitative data goes into rows and columns. Quantitative data goes into values. The only time you will likely want to put qualitative data into values is when you want to count, right? Because they cannot be aggregated, right? We perform aggregation on numerical values. So if you want to aggregate a qualitative data, you can drop it in values, right? You can drop it in values. Of course, there are other use cases for that as well. It's not just when you want to count, but basic simplicity, leave it that way. Leave it at as a count, right? So you can see, I can see the number of customers we have from these individual countries, right? So this is the number of customers from individual countries. So that's just by the way. Okay, I'll take that out. Now, what we wanted to do, where we stopped, is explained how that this filter is limited to just one of the pivot tables, right? So let me drop that quickly again and show you how that works. Let's say I want to bring in the country. What's the country now? Country. Okay, I want to drag country in a filter. Okay, no, hold on. I'll click on this pivot table. This one is what I want to use. Then left click and slide my hand down, bring country into filter. All right, so we have filter now. Now I can say I want to pick Canada only. Now pay attention to this. Cancel. See the figures: 699376. Okay, so if I do this, Canada, you can see everything has been filtered. So we have 1.75, 2.5, 1.6k, right? So this is what we have for this particular country. But you can see it didn't affect the rest of our data. They are still all the same way they used to be, right? But in reality, we probably want to control all of this and even more. Okay, so what do we do instead? So I'll take this out and I'll bring in a slicer, right? I'll bring in a slicer. So we can click on any of the pivot table, any at all, any of the pivot table. Okay, any of the pivot table. Then we'll come here and say right here, you see that? So insert slicer under the filter connection. Is a filter as well, just a more powerful filter. Okay, and you see slicer. We have timeline as well, which is for dates. So I'll show you the two of them. So let's start with slice timeline, since we're not planning to use that. And you can see that it brought out transaction date column only, because it only works with dates. If we bring in slicer now, you see how it appears. Okay, so you can see that, see how it is. So if I want any, of course some of these data are not in our data, right? Can take that out. So if I click on January now, because I use this pivot table to bring it in, it's only working with this pivot table, but we'll fix that in a minute. Okay, see, if I click on March, you can see that it's changing, but of course others are not affected, right? No doubt others are not affected. So how do we do it? You right click. All right, of course, do not forget that we by now we know what a contextual ribbon is, right? So contextual ribbon are ribbons that appear based on a selection. If I click outside, it's gone. If I click on pivot table, I have two extra ones, though the name might be different from yours depending on your version. You can see analyze only, you can see different things, but you still got two options. You can see option here instead of pivot table analyze. You can see pivot table analyze, you can see analyze only. Okay, so if I click out, if I click in here, I get this contextual, right, based on the selection. If I click out, they're gone again. If I click on this now, I get timeline. So on my timeline here, I can come here to the right, it says report connection, and I click on it, and you see what we have, right? We get all of this. Okay, we get all of this. Nice. The same thing, instead of going all that way, you can just right click and do reports connection. So what this means is that, oh, how many pivot tables do I want this to control? Currently it's only controlling the one we clicked on to bring it in, right? But you see we have some other ones, and this is one of the good reasons why it's this is one of the reasons why it's a good practice to rename your pivot table instead of just saying pivot table 1, pivot table 2, and all of that. You're not even sure which one you're clicking or you're linking to it. In some cases, you might not want it to control all your pivot tables, right? So it's important, it's a good practice that you rename your pivot tables. And it seems we did not remember to rename one of our pivot tables, so I'll cancel that, and that's probably this guy. Let's check. Okay, yeah, that's it. So say percentage of customer by payments method. Let me just do a camel case in there. All right, yeah, the name can be long, but as long as it's descriptive, of course not too long, something concise, but using things that you cannot understand is not good enough as well. It's just common thing, good practice, all of those things. So I'll right click again on this pivot table. If that was too fast on renaming, you should check out the previous video. I think I took time to show you how to rename pivot tables there, or you can just take this back and watch again. Now this, I'll right click and you see report connection. All right, now it makes sense. You can see when I having percentage of customers by payment method. So if I wanted to control everything, I just have to check all the boxes and I'll click OK. Boom, and you can see immediately that when I click January, all my data gets filtered. Did they all get filtered? They do. You see that? You see that? You see that? They're all changing. Pay attention. See? Even though this seems like they're the same, but no. Now this is 2030 2030. February, it's 2030 2030, and March is 2030 30 20. So you can see they look almost similar. I think it's the same for January and February, but not for March, right? And you can see the figures here. You can see the average value keeps changing based on the dates. Look at the sum of sales as well in individual country, and you can see for January, so what we have, when we click on February, this changes to February. All right, I'm clicking too fast. All right, you can see it change for February, and this changes for March as well. All right. So how do we take it back to normal? How do we take everything back to normal again? All right. All I have to do is click on this button up here. Pay attention to it. This button up here, and it says clear filter. Okay. You see the shortcut Alt C. Click on that, and everything. All right. All the data goes back to normal. You can see that now. All the data goes back to normal. So we'll not be using this. We'll not be using the slicer or the timeline. So I'll take it out. That's just to show you, just a demonstration of works. Since we just have 3 months here, to be nicer if we have longer dates. Okay. Now, I'll click on any of the pivot table as well. Do not forget to add a slicer. I don't want to see this time. I'll go back to pivot analyze. Do not forget that when I click out, I click in, the field does not show again. Okay, you see it's not showing again. Like I said, I mentioned in the previous video, these are common issues sometimes, and you're like, oh, where are all my fields gone? Where are my fields gone? I can't seem to put something somewhere, right? All you have to do is right click on that, show field list. Okay, it's gonna come back. That's it. Very simple. And if you don't have the option, maybe you're using Mac or a very older version and you're not seeing this directly, or probably when you're right clicking nothing is coming up, no issue, I got you. All you have to do is click on any of the pivot tables, go to pivot table analyze, and you'll see field list. You see show, you see on where we have show, it says field list. If I don't want field headers, I can turn that off. You can see I can turn off the button plus and minus button for anyone that has, but this has. So if I click on this and do that, it's gonna disappear. So I'll click on field list and then they are back again. Come here, click on any pivot table analyze, field list, and they are back right there. Okay, but that's not the focus here. We're not bringing slicer. I'll go to pivot table analyzer option, whatever I see, and then towards the middle you see slicer. You look for slicer, we'll select slicer, boom, and this is what we'll get. What does this mean? Now, when we use timeline, it only picks dates. Like I said, timelines are for dates. And that makes sense, right? From the word timeline. It makes sense. Clear. Simple. Obvious. Okay. Now, but for a filter, we can use literally any of this as a filter, right? Including numerical values. Okay. But in this case, now, I would say whatever we use as filter should be a major focus. I'm trying to use the right words, but let me play out a scenario to you. For example, if our concern is to understand regional sales, right? The regional performance of our data, right? That means we want to see the region where we sell more, where we have more customers, where we do this, just about regions, or the region where certain payment methods are used more than another one, and all of that, right? So our anchor, that's more like a anchor, right? But in this case, if we want to see, let's say it's about sales rep performance, right? We want to see how our sales rep are doing. Could be, right? So if our sales rep performance are what we want to see, right? If that's what we want to see, then in that case, we can say sales rep will be a filter. Of course, we can check more boxes to have more filter. I'll show you that. For example, let's say we want to see other status as well. Click to just those two. All right, you can see what we get. Nice, as usual. For consistency's sake, we'll go with our guy. Where's it? Is it this? Is it this? It doesn't look like this. Okay, yeah, this is it. I was hoping there's another shade of that. I don't know if that's the best shade. I'll stick to that. All right, so this is what we have, right? So let's just look at it. Do not forget that if I click this, it only affects one. Why? We have to report connection. Right click on it, report connection. Let's expand this, check all the boxes, check all of them, check all of them, boom, and then it affects all of them. So I'll clear this, do the same for this, report connection. I'll drag that up, check all the boxes, just check all the boxes. Okay, All right, nice. So if I filter, boom, this is what I get. Nice. Okay, so I can adjust this. All right, I can adjust this as well. But like I said, I only included this for you to see. We will not be using this as a filter, right? We will not be using this as a filter, so I can just take this out. However, I just took out other status. So for you, just as a short exercise, create another pivot table with where you have something like this. So you have other status. Nice, that holding. That. So the percentage of cancelled orders, the percentage of shipped, the percentage of completed. So and the percentage of, you put a name there. Let me just put ash 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 ash. All right, you fill in the gap. That's by the way. So let's look at this now. If I since this is our anchor, majorly want to see how the sales were performing across all. Yeah, we're still getting to the place where we'll create charts from it and then probably take this up to a dashboard level. Yeah, we might just use this anyway. So click on this, for example, David Smith, and you can see how we filtered everything we did, right? Filtered it. So January, this guy made 3,000, 17 February, 4,000 March. So he had his peak sale in March, right? Nice, nice, nice. And total he made is 9,086, and you can see he only sold in the US. Total 9,086. He only sold one product, and the average sales, right, is 1,136. 25% of his customers used cash, 13% credit card, 38% debit card, 25% PayPal. Oh, so they use his customers preferred debit card. Do not forget, this is the US. Okay, it's synthetic data though. Let's look at Emily Johnson, Canada. What did they use more here? Credit card, right? Credit card, 38%. So January, this guy made, a lady. The lady made 5.2 in total. She only sold one product, 650 average sales, and this is the everything about her. Let's look at Michael Brown. Michael Brown made 4,000, sold only in the UK. More credit card and cash, less debit, less PayPal. And the last person, 5,000 average sales. Oh, what's the average sales of this guy? 639. Okay. Average sales 650, 639. Okay. So Susan White, 722. No. Now something is missing here, right? We don't have cash. No cash at all in Australia. No one use cash. They don't like cash. I'm not saying Australia as a country don't like cash. I'm saying from what we see in our data, they didn't pay with cash at all, right? Who knows? Maybe the guy just did online, or the lady just did online sales. I mean, it could be anything, right? Or this is just a quick way of getting insight. A quick way of getting insight, as you can see. So this is it. You can see how powerful the slicer is compared to the filter directly in this section, right? So compared to that filter, the slicer gives us more power and all of that. So I'll show you one quick thing about the slicer, then we'll look at one other thing, and then we'll wrap it up there. Okay. Just bring this way. Now, in case you don't have much space, for example, you just want this to fit in. Let's say you're using this on a dashboard, or you have more pivot tables around, and you don't have too much space for the slicer to appear this way, right? So you're thinking of how can I put it on a single line or something, right? I'll show you how to do that. So just click on the pivot on the slicer. Let me add more row to the top. Okay, so I'll just add more row to the top, and then should I put it up there? Let's add one more row. Okay, now I'll click on this guy, go to slicer, then you see it says the number of column is just 1. So if I increase it to 2, you see what it does. Adjust that. You see that? So go back there again. So I'll increase it to, oh, that's 3, 2, 3, and then 4. So I'm literally making it a single row, right? So using the number of values as the number of columns makes it a single row. So that means this is now more compact, if you can say that. And I just drag it over, then I can bring it up here, right? You see that? So I can bring it up right here. So just make it this way. All right, so this is what we have. Now you can see I can click directly. I'll still like to add a new row. Shift plus. All right, Control Shift plus, just in case you got that, so you don't get confused. All right, so now I have my filter up here, right? Click on this, nice, concept space. So one final thing, sometimes you probably want to use the what's it called now, the pivot tables to do something like KPIs. That you want to get some KPIs, or you have some KPIs and you want to use a pivot table, which is just a single value. That can easily tell you the overall health of your KPI, key performance index, key performance indicator. Of course, they are I'll not delve into that. Just KPIs, right? I will not delve into should it be key performance index or a key performance indicator. But just note that, what does it even mean? Let's leave that by the side and say the major thing is that it shows you the overall health of your business, right? Overall health, measurable. It gives you a single value that can tell you that, oh, okay, this is okay. Let's say it this way. Example explains things faster. So you've been running a business for 6 months, and then you check, oh, how much customers have you had in the 6 months, depending on your kind of business, and you have a number, right? You have a number. So let's say 50. I don't know what 50 will mean. We have to put in a context. So I don't know what business it is, but 50 could be good, 50 could be bad, 50 could be, oh, okay, that's okay, that's fair, right? Depending on the context, where metrics are available to measure good or bad, right? So, but just a single value. The point is, a single summarized value tells you, it gives you an insight into your overall health of the business. Or you can say total revenue. How much have you made so far in the 6 months? And like, oh, okay, this is the figure. And you're like, is it good? Is it bad? Then you put it in context based on your metrics. So that's what KPIs can do for you. So we want to get that. Let's say, for example, we want to see we can do some advanced ones, maybe average sales per customer. So we want to see on average how much do our customers spend, or maybe simple ones just like the number of customers, total number of customers we have, total sales, total product quantity, something like that. How do we get that done? Using pivot table as well. Or you want to see the average sales over time, right? You don't need to calculate that again, say do a sum of sales with this. Why do we have quantity 3 of quantity? Oh, okay, I didn't delete that. Control minus, didn't delete that. Okay, now it's gone. Amount 2. I didn't delete that. I did, didn't I? I did. Alright, let's just save it. What else? Everything seems good. Yeah, everything seems good. So you don't have to come here and calculate the average sales. What do we have down here? The space was empty. 150. 4. Why is this 0? Okay, okay. Yeah, something probably happened somewhere. I'm not sure what that is, but it's okay. I'll just move this up. Yeah, I know. I know. Okay, and I'll delete this last row. Right. So we don't have to come here and do average sales, because that will even make it that will not make it sales data. Sales, I know, square brackets, close it, close the bracket. All right, so we don't have to do this here because this will not even be interactive. We will not be able to see the average sales by sales rep, right? We want to do something very interactive. So as usual, bring in a new pivot table. You can copy and paste the previous ones you have. You can go to inside again and bring it new. I'll just go ahead and copy this. In this case, I'll just do this hashtag as count, just to keep it simple. Customers, so number of customers. Of course, our usual design here. It's that guy, nice. So I can just copy and paste this again for others, right? Undo for others. This time I want to see the total sales or the total quantity sold, right? Total quantity sold. Paste again. I want to see the sales, total sales, right? What else? We could have more, but we'll just keep it on this. I'll just keep it on this. Okay, I'll just keep it here. Now in this case, I probably want to keep them at the top. Why? They are numbers. They're very important. We want to be able to see them quickly. Okay, so I'll do this. This guy moves down here. Then this guy moves. This guy moves as well. Moves to the middle. Okay. All right. So this is what we'll have. Now, nice. Okay. So the last thing we probably want to do is let's let it take. I'll just let it take the two space like that. Should it not? Okay, let this takes the 2 space. Okay, so just do that. Central cross, click OK. format. Yeah, just the other. I want to centralize that formatting. Okay, I know. Thank you. I leave it empty. No, it can't be empty. Okay, I know that's coming from a pivot table. Okay, fine. Just relax. I'll just put a full stop in there. All right. So I want to centralize this. Okay. So just adjust this slightly. It's not working the way I want it to be. Okay, okay. Just go back, go back, go back. There are other ways I can do this, but no, I can just reference the value, do the header. It's okay. Let's keep it this way for now. That's not the point. Okay. Now, where do we put this guy? Where do we put this guy now? Perhaps we could maybe put it somewhere here, or just keep it here, right? We could keep it here. We could keep it at the top as well. Depends. Probably at the top. Of course, the I'm not sure. I'm not advised to keep the filters at the top first. I mean, we want to see the numbers before we even think of filtering, right? Which is okay, all right. So probably want to see that first. So just gonna do this for now and just keep it this way. So yes, this is what we have, and do not forget it's not working for these guys. So we have to rename the pivot tables first, as usual. Let's do that. Total revenue. All right. For these, total quantity sold. That's QTY sold. Oops. Okay, let's go back there. So check drop down. Right. All right. No space. Then this. Go back there. This is hashtag customers. All right. So that's all we have now. So let's right click on this filter, report connection, and now we see the new pivot tables we added. We check them because we want to control of them. Oops, check that control. So if I click this, so this guy had 8 customer, so 23 in quantity, and this is what he has, right? Makes sense. You see? So if I clear, comes back. Okay, I can reduce this guy now. I think everything is here like this. Okay, some of this thing adjusted. That's fine. So yeah, that is basically it. You can see we have a single value. Do not forget, let me show you again. For a single summarized value like that, maybe total something, just a total of something, an aggregation, right? You just put the value, nothing else, nothing will be in row, column, or filter. Just put it in values and you get what you want. Okay, and yes, this concludes the pivot tables. Yeah, I will conclude the pivot table. Does that mean there are other things? Of course, you feel free to explore. You've seen the basic things. Now you can summarize that data sets, and do not forget, emphasis made on the fact that do not put any pivot table below. Yes, some people might prefer to do one pivot table per sheet. I don't know for any reason. For what reason they might want to do that. So under this, right, under this, like this, right, since this has an expandable and a collapsible button, you don't want to put anything down there. Very important. Why is this thing messing around? I think it expanded again. Did you see that? Okay, I think it did again. Okay, just yeah. You don't want to put anything below that or beneath that. What else? What else? I mentioned a couple of things. Do check out the previous video, and I think from here we can now learn chatting, chatting techniques. Learn the right chat to use, why to use it, and you pick the best chat, right? So do well to use the comment section effectively. Feedbacks are always welcome. If you learned something from the video, give it a thumbs up. Costs you nothing. If you know someone who is working, or oh, this person works with Excel, this person works with this video might be of help. Do well to share to them. They will say thank you for it. You've made their work better that way, just by just sharing a single video with them. And for more videos like this, you can do well to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, so that when there is a new video, you get notified first. See ya. All right.